world hockey turns its attention back to India. Welcome back to Rourkela. It's just 19 degrees centigrade, a little chilly. It's not windy at all, but of course, it's all set for another super clash between the table toppers. Number 3 and number 4 on the points table. The UP Rudras going up against the Shrachi Rarh Bengal Tigers in match number 24 of the Hero Hockey India League in the men's competition. Remember, 23 of the 44 matches have already been done. We have just crossed the halfway stage, and of course we are also approaching a landmark of goals as far as this tournament is concerned. Welcome back to Hockey Live. I'm your host Sanjeev Mukherjee, of course with me Sandeep Somesh, 1998 Asian Games gold medalist with the Indian men's hockey team. Sandy, cracker of an evening. It promises to be 3 and 4, lots at stake there.
Yeah, good evening Sanjeev, good evening to our viewers across the world. Yes, you said it right, it is going to be a cracker of a game. The Rudras will want to continue the winning streak after being down in 2 games. So yeah, let's see, promises to be good.
It should be good, and the Tigers will also want to fight back. Remember, we'll take a quick look at the points table and see where each team stand. The reason being that the points table will tell you that I beg your pardon, that the Rudras at number 3 and the Shrachi Rarh Bengal Tigers, they are at 4, just above. Tamil Nadu Dragons are at 1, followed by Hyderabad Tufans at 2. Then there goes the Rudras and the Tigers. Now, either one wins, interestingly, they will jump to 12 points and second place on the table. Even if one of them do not win, they still get to remain in the top 4. That's a very exciting contest, lots at stake.
Yeah, just look at the table, there's not much to choose. I mean, you have one team all the way on top with 15 points, but then the rest of them, the winner today is really definitely going to go up and get some more points on his tally. So yes, it is going to be interesting. But interestingly, we saw that there was not much to choose between the two teams, between the Rudras and the Tigers. Pretty much played the same number of games, same number of wins. But I think the one factor that is going to be different is for the Rudras, they started with 2 wins, they lost 2, came back to win the 5th game. As for the Tigers, they started the 2 wins and lost 3 matches. So obviously the Rudras, after 2 losses, they figured out what's going on. Yeah, they figured out what's wrong with the team, which I think is so crucial. So being a long tournament, you need to learn and improvise.
Right, and the Tigers will say blame it on the Lancers, because the Lancers humbled them with a 6-0 thrashing after the Tigers had started with 3 back-to-back wins. Remember, nobody's got any extra breathing space as far as this points table is concerned, except the Dragons, who are breathing fire and really at the top of the table. An interesting landmark coming up, 23 matches, 97 goals already done. Very quickly before we head into the break, are you expecting to see the 100th goal in the Hero HL tonight?
Well, going from what we have seen, the Rudras have not scored too many goals.
Right.
Neither have the Tigers. They've not been, very high there amongst the goals. But you never know. We could see the 100th goal.
Absolutely. 97 goals on, field goals still ahead of the set pieces. As you can see, 44 coming from the PCs and penalty strokes, 6 shootouts. Field goals still standing tall at 53. Are we going to see the 100th goal tonight? That's the big question. Of course, it's the Tigers versus the Rudras. Small break now.
रग रग में है खेलों का रोमांच, और एक ही महामंच पर भरे जा रहे हैं देश दुनिया के हर खेलों के रंग। ओलंपिक खेल हों या फीफा वर्ल्ड कप के जाबाज प्रदर्शन, शीर्ष की ओर कदम बढ़ाते मेन इन ब्लू, एशियन गेम्स का रोमांच या फिर वर्ल्ड कप बॉक्सिंग के सुपर पंच, हॉकी वर्ल्ड कप के रोमांचक पलों को भी कैद करता आ रहा है डीडी स्पोर्ट्स। देखें हर खेल सिर्फ डीडी स्पोर्ट्स पर।
ये सफर है एक जुनून का, कुछ हौसलों का, जानवरों, अपनी मिट्टी और इसके लोगों से मेरी बेपनाह मोहब्बत का। मैं हूं प्रतीक वासन, एक ट्रैवल जर्नलिस्ट और एक एडवेंचरर।
क्या हाल है नानू? कब आए मेले में आप? बताओ कैसे हो? मैं बस अभी आया। घोड़ा कैसे दिलवाएगा?
घोड़े चलेंगे सर जी, अभी अच्छे अच्छे घोड़े आए हुए हैं हमारे मेले में पुष्कर में।
इस जर्नी में मैं अपनी कैवलरी यानी घोड़ों और ऊंटों की सेना ले आगे बढ़ूंगा।
दुर्गा माता की जय।
और एक पुराने दौर की जिंदगी का रोमांच आपसे साझा करूंगा।
ब्रेड पकौड़े खाने का मन कर रहा है।
ये यात्रा चुनौतियों भरी होगी पर मुस्कुराते हुए पूरी होगी। बने रहिए रोमांच और साहस से भरी इस दास्तां में हमारी सेना के साथ। द कैवलरी गोज टू जोधपुर।
प्रत्येक शुक्रवार रात 11 बजे डीडी नेशनल पर।
आइए देखते हैं इस सब के बीच हमें कश्मीर कैसा दिखा। देखिए अनसीन कश्मीर विद प्रतीक वासन प्रत्येक शुक्रवार शाम 7 बजे और पुनः प्रसारण रविवार शाम 5 बजे सिर्फ डीडी नेशनल पर।
एक शादी कच्ची उम्र की, जिम्मेदारी रिश्तों के फिक्र की, कैसे खिलेगा अरमान बंद मुट्ठी का।
देखिए ससुराल झुनकी का सोमवार से गुरुवार रात 8:30 बजे, पुनः प्रसारण सुबह 11 बजे डीडी नेशनल पर।
Welcome back to match day 19 of Hero HIL. This is Hockey Live, your one-stop destination for everything about this dazzling tournament which has gotten back to life after 7 years. Sandy Somesh is in the house with me. This as we count down to the start of another fiery contest between the UP Rudras who position in number 3 versus the Shrachi Rarh Bengal Tigers who are at number 4. Now let's take you through the important statistic or the aspect of the way the Rudras have played today. What makes the Rudras so special? See, they've scored only 9 goals, right? The second lowest among all teams. They've conceded only 7 goals, the least among all teams. That's a super stat. And last but not the least, Sandy, they are the only team who haven't conceded a goal from a set piece.
Absolutely, Sanjeev. Just look at that graphic. Scored 9 goals and conceded only 7 goals. And none from a set piece. When they say set piece, they obviously mean the penalty corners. So it just tells you that how compact the defense is.
Exactly.
Right? So they are not able to beat the defense and get the goals the opponents need. So that's a story in itself. And if they can add to the tally of goals up front, then I think they're just going to run away with the game. Right?
So what makes them so special? How are they managing to keep it so tight, the back line?
Look at who's playing in the midfield. You have Hardik, you have Villalonga. They are workhorses.
Yeah.
Right? Go up in attack and they organize the defense so well when they come back.
Yeah.
Right? And to tell you, Hardik is not at his best.
Exactly.
We've not seen what he is actually capable of doing. Now, if he gets his game going, I think he's going to be a hard player to...
The Rudras will be perhaps very difficult to stop.
They'll be difficult to stop.
Very difficult to
and also to see they've scored just 9 goals and they're third on the points table.
Right.
So that's a story in
just
itself.
Just 9 goals, third on the points table. That tells you about the efficiency of this team. You're going to further break down the numbers for UP Rudras and try and show you how they have actually scored and what is the pattern of play as far as this Paul Vanar's team is concerned. Now, first and foremost, they have 5 field goals and 4 penalty corners. They've scored 5 field goals and 4 penalty corners. But if you look at the goals conceded, they have conceded 7 goals exactly. All field goals, but not a single goal from set pieces, as Sandeep Somesh just broke it down for you. Now, the next part is how do they play? If you look at the circle entries, possession, shots taken, that's also another important statistic as to how the Rudras have designed their game under Paul Vanar's, and that's the statistic which will be very important. I mean, many times we look at the shots taken and we try and figure out why aren't they scoring more, but even that will tell you that this is a very important way in which they play. It's a very simple way. They're keeping it neat. They're keeping it simple. It's a traditional, I would say, a trademark of the Paul Vanar style in which he makes his team play without frisk. So now look at this. 93 circle entries, Sandeep, 29 shots. They won 24 PCs, only 3 conversions. Conversions pretty low. Nothing there for penalty strokes. But what's important is that their circle entries are not on the higher side, which means they're still managing to do it even with these numbers.
Yeah, but they will definitely be happy if they can convert more of those circle entries into goals.
Yeah.
Now there's still a big difference. There's 93 circle penetrations and I think 29 shots
29
on goals.
shots.
Probably percentage-wise, they'd like to have a better
That means like
take on that.
on an average one shot per circle entry.
Yeah, we'll have to look at
Mathematics.
Yeah, something like that. We'll have
Right.
to work out, and they will also like to look at the penalty corner
Penalty
conversions.
corners.
Now, if they can get that also going, then they will be a dangerous team in my books. Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out what's Paul Vanas' number. Where is the coach, UP Rudras? We want to hear from him. What exactly has he planned? Well, we'll come to that in just a bit. But if you look at the other team, Rudras are up against the Tigers. What is Paul Vanas planning? Let's listen into the UP Rudras coach.
Hello, coach. Now that your drag flickers have rediscovered their scoring touch, will they be the X factor in tonight's game?
Drag flickers are always important to break up matches. You see it all in every match. I saw the statistics. Half of the goals as penalty corners. So yes, they are very important for every team and also for my team.
Calm and composed, he knows his boys are doing the trick, doing the job.
Well, he really doesn't tell you too much, does he?
He doesn't.
You know,
Whatever you might ask him.
He keeps it very close to his heart. But he did mention that yes, penalty corners is something that they will be working out, and we'll have to look at converting of those penalty corner chances that they have created. But what he has in mind and how he's going to bring it out, that is something that only Paul Vanas would know at the moment.
Absolutely, and the fact that of course they've only converted 4 of the penalty corners, but the fact doesn't matter because they've got Kane Russell, who's slowly coming into his own. He scored thrice, and they've now unleashed another Belgian super drag flicker. That's a Tanguy Cousins. He got on the board in the last game.
Yeah, so Paul Vanas has options now with his penalty corners. Now, how well he's going to use them, you know, with variations or still trying to go direct, because direct is still such a wonderful skill to execute, and that's probably the easiest. So if everything falls in place for the direct, then I think they would still stick with the direct, considering that Kane Russell and Tanguy Cousins have scored, right? So that's still options open for them.
Options open for them, and of course if you look at the field goals, you've got Sudeep Chermako, he's scored twice, 2 field goals. You've got Jobanpreet, you've got Akashdeep, and not to forget Floris Wurtelboer. What a goal it was in the last game when he scored.
I mean, you know, those goals are not things that just happen, Sanjeev.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, there's a lot of practice and effort that goes into it. I'm not sure if you can get a clip of that, you know, just to show the viewers what it was. But those are things that are practiced in and out, and that's how you execute it on a match day. Otherwise, it's not something that happens by fluke.
Very quickly, 10 seconds. Do you expect Rudras to play the same way they've played, or you think they're going to change something? Very quickly.
No, I think they would just want to play the way they played the last game, and just keep the momentum going. And especially when you had 2 defeats before the last win, right? So I think they will go with the same way.
Right. So it remains to be seen how the Rudras under Paul Vanas are well-oiled machinery, striking very, very efficiently. Second lowest number of goals, but they're still at number 3. Time for a small break. When we come back, will be the Tigers with us.
रग रग में है खेलों का रोमांच, और एक ही महामंच पर भरे जा रहे हैं देश दुनिया के हर खेलों के रंग। ओलंपिक खेल हों या फीफा वर्ल्ड कप के जांबाज प्रदर्शन, शीर्ष की ओर कदम बढ़ाते मेन इन ब्लू, एशियन गेम्स का रोमांच या फिर वर्ल्ड कप बॉक्सिंग के सुपर पंच, हॉकी वर्ल्ड कप के रोमांचक पलों को भी कैद करता आ रहा है डीडी स्पोर्ट्स। देखें हर खेल सिर्फ डीडी स्पोर्ट्स पर।
ये सफर है एक जुनून का, कुछ हौसलों का, जानवरों, अपनी मिट्टी और इसके लोगों से मेरी बेपनाह मोहब्बत का। मैं हूं प्रतीक वासन, एक ट्रैवल जर्नलिस्ट और एक एडवेंचरर।
क्या हाल है नानू?
कब आए मेले में आप?
आप बताओ कैसे हो? मैं बस अभी आया। घोड़ा कैसे दिलवाएगा?
घोड़े चलेंगे सर जी, अभी अच्छे अच्छे घोड़े आए हुए हैं हमारे मेले में पुष्कर में।
इस जर्नी में मैं अपनी कैवलरी यानी घोड़ों और ऊंटों की सेना ले आगे बढ़ूंगा।
दुर्गा माता की जय।
और एक पुराने दौर की जिंदगी का रोमांच आपसे साझा करूंगा।
ब्रेड पकौड़े खाने का मन कर रहा है।
ये यात्रा चुनौतियों भरी होगी पर मुस्कुराते हुए पूरी होगी। बने रहिए रोमांच और साहस से भरी इस दास्तां में हमारी सेना के साथ। द कैवलरी गोज टू जोधपुर।
प्रत्येक शुक्रवार रात 11 बजे डीडी नेशनल पर।
आइए देखते हैं इस सब के बीच हमें कश्मीर कैसा दिखा। देखिए अनसीन कश्मीर विद प्रतीक वासन प्रत्येक शुक्रवार शाम 7 बजे और पुनः प्रसारण रविवार शाम 5 बजे सिर्फ टीडी नेशनल पर।
एक शादी कच्ची उम्र की, जिम्मेदारी रिश्तों के फिक्र की, कैसे खिलेगा अरमान बंद मुट्ठी का।
देखिए ससुराल झुनकी का सोमवार से गुरुवार रात 8:30 बजे, पुनः प्रसारण सुबह 11 बजे डीडी नेशनल पर।
Welcome back to match day 19 of the Hero HIL. This is Hockey Live. Sandeep Somesh is in the house. This as we are building up to this big clash between number 3 and 4 on the points table. That is the UP Rudras versus the Shrachi Rarh Tigers. The Rudras have been a story of efficiency as broken down so beautifully by Sandeep, analyzed so beautifully by Sandeep in the last segment. But now we're going to take a closer look at the Tigers. And the big question is, why aren't the Tigers roaring? Now look at this. They've got the second lowest penalty corner conversion rate of 14.3%. Yes, these guys started with a bang. They hit 6 set pieces in their first 3 games, and now they're down to second lowest in PC conversions. And no field goals scored in the last 2 games. Remember, the Tigers started hammering in 9 goals in their first 3 games. In the last 2 games, Sandeep, they have conceded 8. They've not been able to score. What's going wrong with them?
Sanjeev, you are from Bengal, right?
No, I live in Delhi.
You need to go and give them a pep talk, maybe.
No conflict of interest for me here.
But yes, the Tigers really have the job cut out. Let's not look at so much at the PC conversion rate because no team is doing very great,
Goes
right?
It's
in the 20-25% and things like that. But the concern is, if we have a graphic on how many chances they've created and how many they've converted, I think that is what is going to be interesting. So the PC conversion is, obviously every team needs to work on it, right? Every team is saying the same thing. We need to work on a PC conversion. So that is an added bonus. But if they can get the field goals, I just think also if my analysis is right, I think all the scorers are from the Indian players.
All are
in the Tigers.
Of course.
Right, so we don't have anybody from the foreign players who are amongst the goals. Now if they start getting the goals...
This could be because of us. Because the moment we actually made a graphic on one of those days of the first 3 games, all scorers are Indians. After that, they've stopped scoring, Indians or international.
So, are we to blame?
all right. We'll go further deep down into the Tigers and try and break down the tactic. But now, let's look at the goals scored. They've scored 4 field goals, 4 from penalty corners, 2 penalty strokes, both converted by Ravinder Pal Singh, who in fact went on to miss another stroke in the previous game against the Tamil Nadu Dragons. And look at the way they conceded 8 field goals and 4 PCs. It's a PC, defending PCs, not so much of a problem, but the fact is they're not scoring enough goals right now.
Yeah, I mean, look at the graphic. It works both ways. You still have to get your goals up front and you still have to defense, as compared to the Rudras, who have not conceded any goal from set pieces. Now these people have conceded goals on the set pieces too. So and add to that, you've missed a penalty stroke too. So there is a lot of work that the Tigers will have to do, and especially with the goal scoring up front. That's when they can turn around the game.
They need to score in batches. So what is the coach Colin Batch. Now, Colin Batch, of course, we know is a very, very experienced coach, a world-renowned coach like Paul Vanas. A lot of people are saying have been building this up as a tactical battle between two masterminds. So let's now try and figure out what Colin Batch, the Shrachi Rarh Bengal Tigers coach, what he wants to say, what he has to say before this game.
Hello, Coach. Your team had a strong start to this season but has faced some setbacks recently. A big challenge coming your way?
Yeah, certainly. We started well with 3 wins and now we've had 2 losses. And while one was a bad loss, I think last game against the Lancers we actually played pretty good. But the nature of the game is to score and we weren't able to do that.
Colin Batch, difficult situation right now. The team, they managed to stay in the top 4 because of the fact that they won their first 3, but after that they lost 2 on the bounce, and we'll try and break down their approach or the way they have played. Now look at this. Sandeep, 100 circle entries, that's fine. 48 shots, which is at least 40% more than the Rudras. They've won 28 PCs. They've converted only 4 goals from penalty corners. Penalty strokes 1 is 3 and 2 goals from penalty strokes. And if you look at the shots and circle entries, I mean, the last game against the Tamil Nadu Dragons, there was a point, they had at least 14 shots on target, 10 penalty corners, yet they managed only 1 field goal.
Yeah, see, just looking at the level of goalkeeping in this tournament, now to get it across the goalkeeper, you have to think out of the box. Now, any drive directed on any of these goalkeepers is going to be a challenge. Now, if the graphic says they have 48 shots on target, then you obviously have to work with your forwards up front who come closer to have a deflection into the Ds. So probably that's not what's happening. And yeah, penalty corners is something we've spoken enough about that. I think you have to just convert those penalty corners.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Because these are the guys who started with a bang. You had a Jugraj who's already scored 3 times from penalty corners. Rupinder Pal has scored 2 times from the penalty corners. We can see them practicing perhaps their variations, and perhaps we'll see maybe Jugraj rediscovering his touch tonight.
Yeah, I mean that's what Colin Batch will be hoping. That is, main drag flickers are able to convert these penalty corners into goals. Like I said, again, if you look at what they're just practicing, on the stop, the ball just rolling away. You don't want that. As a drag flicker, you don't want that, right? Unless it is practice and it is a set piece where the ball rolls away. But we just saw that the ball is not cleanly stopped. So what happens? The drag flicker has to realign his stepping.
Correct.
So we don't want that. We need a perfect injection with a perfect pace and the timing of the drag flicker coming on to execute the drag flick. I mean, it's so crucial and so important. And these are all very seasoned. The players played at the highest level, and they will know what needs to be done.
Absolutely, we can see Jugraj and company practicing the drag flicks, and of course the coach will want more out of from Jugraj and of course Rupinder Pal. But of course field goals remains a concern, because it's not that they haven't scored. Sukhjit has scored twice. In fact, Sukhjit has the fastest goal in this tournament, 23 seconds. Remember, Afan Yusuf has scored a fine goal. You also have Abhishek with 1 goal, but they need more. And right now is the stage to do it. Tonight is the night, maybe.
I mean, tonight is the night when they announce that they have come back into the tournament. Right, after 2 defeats back to back, they would really want to get on with the goals, from the field goals, from the penalty corner goals. But I'll tell you what, they really need to play out of their skin if they want to get it across Rudras. Is
what can they do better?
See, there are standard operating procedures, if I could say
SOP.
that. SOPs.
SOP.
Okay. Convert your penalty corners. Keep your defense tight. That is standard.
Standard.
For every team, that is what you work on.
Like in some other sport, they just say a standard responses. Just keep it positive. Be positive. Okay, I'll be positive. Very little time left.
Yeah.
Prediction. Who's ahead?
I think it is going to be Rudras, and I think whichever team is going to force more errors on the defense, right? And create those into goals, they're going to come out on top. And the way I see it, I think Rudras have been doing that better. Absolutely. You have to force an error on your opponents. You have to channel the example to one side.
Soak in the pressure, not make many errors as much. On that note, Sandeep, thank you very, very much. I know I need to let you go. I might need to run myself. We need to go to our respective commentary boxes. But here's a stat. Just remember, 97 goals on. Tonight, are we seeing the 100 goal of the Hero HL? Also, will the Rudras be able to manage to keep the stat that they are the only team not to concede from a PC? Back with the start of the game.